Thanks so much for being with us on The Money. I'm Brad Johansson with Allied Wealth's Brian Wheelis. Always nice to be with you, buddy.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
I want to start on income because we're doing something completely different. If we've gone 10, 20, 30, 40 years, some people even longer than that in the accumulation phase, now we're trying to do something different, and we want to have income. How do we have income on something after we stop our income and we're trying to create this engine to go through and last? So if I say 40 years that I've been working, now I'm going to do it a different way for 30 years and I haven't figured it out. Can you start talking to me about maybe laying a foundation for retirement income?
Well, it's really a mindset shift that has to occur because, you've taught to save, and accumulate, right? But now when you get to retirement, it's time to start spending. And I don't like to use the word decumulation because when you say that word, people think their money's just going the other way, right? So, but you do have to realize that once you retire, you're trying to solve an equation, whether you realize it or not. And that equation is, how do you live the next 30 years, 40 years without that paycheck from your job and not run out of money or income in the process? And that can be a very daunting task.
Yeah, an extremely daunting task. But we always talk about planning, and we've saved and saved and saved. We had a plan on the saving part of it. Is there a plan for exactly what you talked about to go through retirement without running out of money? Because that's the fear there. Can I actually do this? Have I done enough?
Greatest fear of any retiree is running out of money. I can't think of anything worse than outliving my money. I can't tell you the number of times I've heard people say that. And so the reality is, folks, is that, we're taught to invest. Well, if retirement's not about net worth, which it's not, by the way, it's all about income, we've got to shift our focus from accumulating net worth to generating income, all right? So the way we do that is we take an analysis of what you want to do in retirement. Who are you with? Where are you? What are you doing? And then how do we finance that? How do we use what you save to finance that vision? And we start with your non-discretionary expenses. So to have any quality of life whatsoever in your golden years, you've got to have some basics covered. That's your food, your water, shelter, clothing, access to health care, medicine, transportation. I do have clients that slip in vacations into that one as well, right? They spend the last 30 years working to not enjoy life.
Heck yeah.
But let's get your basics met, all right? So what we have to do is look at what sources of income do you have coming in versus the cost of your non-discretionary expenses, and discover if there is a gap between your pension, your Social Security, and the cost of living in retirement, and then ask questions around how do we fill that gap.
Well, this income gap comes because a lot of people haven't really actually put the plan together and said, what are you spending a month? Oh, you know what? I actually haven't figured out what I've been spending a month. I just know that here's what I have, here's what I'd like to do, and nothing's been put down on paper. Is there a numbers rule when you're trying to fill an income gap, or is that too simplistic?
No, there's absolutely a numbers rule to it, Brad. And where we start is a lot of people think they need to replace 100% of their paycheck to live comfortably in retirement.
Well, I mean, logically, that's what most people are going to.
It makes sense, but think about this. What are you not doing once you retire?
I'm not working.
You're not saving.
I'm not saving.
That's right. So if you're making 401k contributions, IRA contributions, putting money into an after-tax savings account, maybe funding an insurance, index universal life insurance policy, whatever you're doing to fund your retirement, once you get to retirement, you stop doing that. So all that savings that you were spending out of your income is no longer there. So for instance, if somebody's making, just to make numbers easy, because we're on television here and it's kind of hard to do, but if you've got $100,000 in income and you're saving $30,000 a year pre-retirement, you stop doing that once you retire. So your income need drops from $100,000 a year to $70,000. So many people don't have that basic understanding. The light bulb doesn't go off in the mind. And so what you've got to do is, once you've got that figured out, we want to figure out how do we want to fund that. So do you want to rely on the stock market to provide your income? Well, if you do and the market goes up, you may be able to take more income. If you do and the market falls, you're going to have to take less income out of your portfolio. If the market falls again, you have to take even less. Well, as the market falls down, and it's going to, by the way, in your retirement, folks, for sure, it's going to happen over a period of time. But as the market falls, you can take less and less income out of your portfolio if you want it to last the longevity that you need at 30 or 40 years. What happens when the market falls and you're taking less income, Brad, is your expenses don't go down.
Yeah.
They don't change, right? So a lot of us think that all of our money has to be invested the exact same way in retirement. And it simply doesn't, folks. You have buckets of money. You have your bank money. Use that to fund your emergency expenses or a down market year. So for instance, if you take 2, maybe 3 years of income and keep it in the bank, you're in a good situation. The reason why I say that is most bear markets, going back to the Great Depression, last about 3 years, with one lasting as long as 6 years. So if you've got a good cash position there, you can weather that storm, all right? Then you move over to a bucket that allows you to have safe, guaranteed income for life, regardless of what happens with the stock market, the economy, or interest rates. The last bucket you use is going to be something used to combat inflation, long-term growth purposes, and it's a risk bucket. And we can be aggressive with that third bucket, Brad, because we've got our emergency funds in our bank money.
Yeah.
We've got our income needs met from a guaranteed source, all right? And then we've got our risk bucket. Well, if I don't have to tap the risk bucket, it's going to grow exponentially over time and have a better chance of doing that because I'm not taking distributions from it. Further, it subjects me to being removed from investor behavior penalty to where I would be panicked to sell in a down market that risk bucket. I'm not going to be because my income's not coming out of that.
Man, I mean, it simplifies things so well if you're understanding you've got 3 separate buckets. And if you haven't allocated those buckets the way you need to in figuring out what the next 30 years go through, the only way to do it is through a plan.
No question about it. A written comprehensive financial plan, folks. And you can get that right here on the show. You can call us at 844-944-7555. Click the QR code. You can also check us out at retirenowhouston.com. Retirenowhouston.com is a great website, a lot of information out there. But part of what we do in a written comprehensive financial plan is we take you through all of the elements. But the most important thing we start with is cash flows. Where is your income going to come from? And Brad, it starts oftentimes with something as basic as, Ryan, how does the money get from Fidelity or Charles Schwab into my checking account?
Yeah.
How does that actually happen?
Hear that questions a lot. And you have a lot of questions. Wouldn't you like a plan? Do you know whether your buckets are allocated the right way? Now's the time. Stop wasting it. Let's plan for your dream retirement. 844-944-7555. What are you waiting for? Call now.